Hello, hello. This is Austin Chikatilo, aka the Amazon Man, and I'm here with Lee. And this will be episode 2 of the Pickleball Wisdom and Wellness podcast. Lee, how are you doing today?
I'm awesome. Thanks for having me on. I'm bummed that I wasn't episode one, but okay, I'll take second.
Well, a close second, yes. Lee is a dear friend of mine, and I'm glad that she's on the podcast because she has so much wisdom. She's been in the sport for a long time. She's also a two-time MLP MVP. So, Lee, can you just tell us a little bit about your background into how you got into pickleball?
I got into pickleball probably one of the most unique ways. I was bribed with a case of beer.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
a
perfect. I
friend of
didn't
mine
even know
asked
that.
me to play in a tournament, and I said yes. And then she said it's not tennis. I'm like, so what are you asking me? Like, is it volleyball? Cool, I'll play volleyball. She's like, no, it's pickleball. I'm like, yeah, why would I play a sport my dad and my grandma could play, right?
Right.
And we went back and forth, and she bribed me with a case of beer, and I'm like, okay.
So all it took was a case of beer for you to give it a go, and then you instantly fell in love with the game.
I did. I'd never, I fell in love with the game, obviously from a competitive standpoint, it's a lot of fun. But what attracted me most was the community aspect, like the sense of community and the friendships made. And I mean, I always say, if you've never played pickleball, go down and go down to your local park and play. You'll end up with 300 friends you didn't know you needed or wanted, right?
Mm.
But that social fabric really interested me and intrigued me, and it was fascinating how everybody was just became pickleball just became everyone's backyard where people
Yeah.
commingled, coexisted with no issues, right, or very little issues, and everybody was welcoming and accepting. And for it's a very unique thing to see in a competitive sport.
Absolutely. So for you, did you know that you wanted to actually compete at the highest level like you are now when you first got into the game? Or was it, hey, this is just a fun game I can play to make friends and socialize and, like you said, just be in touch with the community?
100%. It was, I mean, I never thought. So when I started playing, obviously the pro career wasn't completely defined. You could play open, and it was just a way to still compete as an athlete. You always, if you're a competitive person, you're always looking for that outlet, and pickleball provided that for me. I came to the game in my early to mid 40s. So I never thought that I would take it further, or that opportunity would ever present itself. It was, you played an open tournament and it was fun to win some money. You got your entry bag and you go with friends and buy a round of beers. It was a way to be competitive, be with friends, and now it's evolved into this beast that is just growing.
Yeah, so that's so unique because I feel like yes, people are getting into the sport now older on, but for you to get into the sport in your early 40s and then quickly rise to the top when you have these younger people that are coming into the game and have been training for years, and now these tennis converts are coming over to pickleball. So for you, what keeps you motivated to compete with the best in the world? Because you've been doing it for a couple of years now and you're holding your own and then some. You know what I mean?
I would say the off the cuff answer, what keeps me going, is every time I earn a U and
Yeah.
successfully.
That's totally humiliating for me, but honestly, it's yeah, I
you
love when that
know,
happens.
every time I can get an earning on you, I'm like, yeah, I should probably go for another year or two. No. It's fun, and it speaks to what pickleball is, right? There's a lot of this that goes on, and
Yes.
you try to outthink and outsmart your opponents, but I think now we're seeing people come into the space for the first time playing pickleball as a legitimate pro career and a profession. The rest of us were all hybrids. So now it's like, and it's annoying when you're playing somebody who's more than 20 years younger than yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You hit a good shot and you're like, and they run it down like you run in one step. You're like, oh, I'm like, what do you mean you got the ball back? That's so rude. I hit a really good shot.
Exactly.
It comes back and you do it again, but it is fun, and I think the game is evolving and changing. And honestly, I think I came into the sport at the time where I could still hang and play. if I'd have come into the sport 5 years from now, maybe who knows, that'll be very different, right? Because the game's evolving. So it's like the evolution of any sport, right? You look at tennis, like Michael Chang was a very good tennis player back in the day. Would his game be relevant now? No. You know, he was in the sport at the right time for him at the sport. And I think that's in a sense that's happened to me. I'm not complaining. I mean, I'm glad that
Yeah.
I can still hang. I still get a lot of fun. Get a lot of fun out of it.
Yeah, you came in at just the right time for you. And I also think because you're one of the older players on the non-senior pro tour, just the regular professional tour, you come in with all that wisdom and maturity. And like you said, you find fascination in that inner chess match that's going on the court, but also within yourself as you're trying to figure out different strategies and adjust throughout matches. So can you touch a little bit about how the strategy has evolved and what you see pickleball looking like, I don't know, 1 year from now, 5 years from now? Where do you see the game going?
That it's a tough one. It all depends on the technology, on the evolution of technology also. Because when we all first started playing, we were playing with, I mean, really smooth surfaces. So ball manipulation was not something you could do that well. Um, and as the years go by, there's grittier paddles, there's raw carbon, there's X, Y, and Z. So where's that technology taking us? Right? The more the technology evolves and the more players can do with the ball, I think that game's gonna, become a lot more. I think we're gonna see a lot more of the harder hitting and maybe, not just the third shot drive, but maybe a fifth shot as well, and potentially a seventh. But it's gonna become a much faster hands battle, and your resets and your dinks now have to be completely on point and make sure they're completely unattackable because anything now, I mean, before you could never attack a ball below the net because your paddle wouldn't allow it. I mean, people are picking up balls now on their shoelaces and still driving it with topspin. Like that's like, no, that ball should never be able to come over the net. And like, oh, never mind, gritty paddle, got it. It's coming and it's staying in.
Yeah.
So I mean, it'll be. I mean, I just think of what a unique situation we're in, right? We've got a front seat at this sport, at the table at this sport, to see it grow and evolve. Like we're seeing the evolution of this sport happen. Like not many, like every other sport that we've come into, or that when we were born, that pathway is already there. We get to come into this sport and see it grow in front of us, like sometimes like a 2-year-old child, but you know, it's
Yeah.
mature.
Yeah. And we get to help pave the path too, which I think is really cool because
Exactly.
players like you have such a big impact because I know you work with Duper and you're involved with a lot of different organizations within pickleball. So you definitely have a lot of influence as to where the game is going. And I feel like in pickleball, they're very mindful about what the players are looking at and what their needs are and where they see the game going because we are in the trenches, so to speak, and we can, and a lot of us also come from other sports backgrounds and know, okay, this worked in our previous sport, so how can we apply this to pickleball, but also keep pickleball fresh and fun and innovative because it just keeps evolving, like you said. So really cool. All
Yeah,
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
one of the things I'd like to see too is the community aspect. I don't want to see that change, right? I still want that sport to grow organically at the amateur recreational level, and it still be fun. And I'd still like for all of us to go down to the park and play, and our egos not be bigger than ourselves.
Yes, I think that's so huge. I still make it a point to, especially now I'm back home in Amelia Island. This is where I learned to play. So I'm on the courts playing with the 60 and 70-year-olds that used to kick my ass when I first started playing. And now I'm playing pro and they like following me. And it's so cool because everything comes full circle. But like you said, don't get too big for your britches. Know where you came from, be humble, and yeah, and give back to your community and go play rec games with the amateurs and teach and give lessons and just try to grow the amateur game too. Because I think that's a lot of people aren't thinking about that too. They're just thinking, okay, how can we get more money into the sport and grow at the professional level? But the amateurs are really the engine behind pickleball, and they're going to keep it going for years to come down the road.
I mean, look, let's face it, the only reason we have fans is because the amateur players play in our tournaments with us, right? And
Absolutely.
none of us should think we're bigger than the sport. You
Totally.
know, the
Totally.
amateurs they're the reason we have a platform. And
Yes.
and 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 I think we'd be remiss if we lost sight of that. That'd be the worst thing we could do.
I agree. So, shifting gears a little bit, I want you to talk a little bit about your unique superpowers that help you on the pickleball court, but also in life. I'm interested to see what your take is on this.
But if for my superpowers, I really shouldn't be sharing them,
Come on, you have to.
right?
You have to because it's gonna increase the growth of the game, and you're gonna share
No, it's
your
gonna give people the opportunity to beat me. Why would I do that?
just so we can all get better. So it makes you
Oh, okay, my
better.
bad. Sorry. And I can write that off of my taxes as charitable giving. Is that correct?
Yeah, give it a shot. I don't think it'll work, but might as well.
I mean, what are my superpowers? Honestly, I don't have any.
Really?
It's I don't. I mean, sad to say, I thought I had a lot of superpowers, and like I don't have a cape, don't have a lasso of truth, don't have my Wonder Woman wristbands. Maybe for my reset. There it is. This is my reset, right? Um,
Yeah, come on.
no, I think it's just I mean, look, any of us that have been athletes at a high level in a formal life, right? For me, it was the late 1900s. No joke. So sad.
Me too. Me too.
Right, but you have that competitive drive and you have that built-in work ethic to want to work on things and want to get better and not settle, right? And I think the biggest superpower of any elite athlete is not settling, is not settling for okay. It's like, yeah, my dinks are okay. No, my dinks needs to be amazing. My dinks needs to be aggressive. My resets need to be spot on, right? And it's that inbuilt innate work ethic that allows you to push further than you normally would, or than somebody else would not, right? And I think that's what the top players in every sport have. It's they're, just showing up for, if you and I were to drill from like 8 to 10 in the morning, right? That's not just my drill session. Like, what else have I done prior? And what am I doing after? There's always more to be done. There's always work to be done. I think the biggest superpower that any elite athlete is understanding that there's always more work that can be done. There's always room for improvement, right? Like 6 inches in front of you, there's always a better, faster, stronger version of yourself. How are
Ah,
you going to get there consistently?
I love that. So speaking to the
That sounded real, huh? That sounded
th-
like I meant it.
that sounded real. I think we should quote that and definitely
Okay.
put it in a book.
Okay.
Yeah, that could be a book
Memorable
title.
quotes.
Write that down. Memorable quotes. But yeah, emphasizing the importance of work ethic. I think that's a superpower that a lot of people don't think about. And I say the word superpower, but it could even mean simple things like that: work ethic, consistency, diligence, curiosity, all these little attributes that we have. How can we use it in life, but also use it in our sport? And for us, that's pickleball. But for you specifically, I just want to touch on the fact that you have this inner fire when you play, and it's definitely unremarkable. And I just want to know, where does that come from for you, right? Like I remember watching you in MLP, and you're going against some of the best single guys in the world, like Jay DeVilliers and Dekel Bar, and just no fear. You go up there and you just smack a couple passing shots. You get riled up. Like I'm sitting at home watching, like who is this woman, and where does that fire come from? Because that lights me up when I see that, right? So I want to know,
Like,
where does it
it's
come from?
where does it come from? It's being able to do it's being able to pull off the unexpected and believing that you can pull it off, and then celebrating.
Yeah,
It's something that it's a wanting of more, right? I'm gonna get fired up because that was a moment worth celebrating, and now I want it again. It's, for lack of a better word, is chasing that high.
yeah,
It's that feeling that you get when everything's come together and you're like, yeah, let's go. And you do it again and you're like, yes.
yes.
And then you don't, and you're like, and you're like, okay, in that moment, I've got to turn myself around, fix it to be able to recreate it again. Right. And it's believing in yourself, and it's a celebration of the stuff that nobody sees. Everybody sees the athlete perform. They don't see what goes into that. They don't see the mess, the tears, the showing up on a rainy day, the showing up when you don't feel like it, right? and putting in
Right.
the work. They don't see any of that. They just see the final product. Like people
Yeah.
say, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, your resets. Teach me how to reset." I'm like, "Do you know how many hours I put into that reset?"
Yeah.
Like I didn't
Yeah.
show up one day and magically did it.
No.
You know, there's people don't see the work, and and when everything comes together, it's celebrating everything. The setbacks, the progress, all of it muddled into one big ball of wool that eventually
Mm.
comes out with this product that actually worked, right? And to me, it's like I'm competitive, I'm fiery, and I'm going to celebrate my wins, and I'm going to commiserate my losses, as well as I'm going to celebrate your great shots and commiserate your crappy ones. It's
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
have the high and the low. You can't be this fiery without having a low. Like, would I love to be a Federer and be like this? Yeah, I can't. Like, there's a
Yeah.
lot going in here. It's got to come out somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. And that just speaks to the beautiful art that the game is, right? And you talked about the highs and lows. How do you specifically deal with the highs and the lows and that emotional roller coaster that happens when you're playing these events that you have some highs one day and then the next day maybe you don't perform as well and then maybe it's back up. How do you stay grounded and how do you stay focused?
At the end of the day, we've got to put it into perspective, right? If we're playing in a tournament one weekend and we win, that we still have to do, not win, but play in a tournament together. And then, the next weekend we're like, okay, we played last weekend and we won. This weekend should go really well. You come in with a preconceived expectation, it's never going to go the right way, right? And it doesn't go well. It's like, does it hurt? Yes. Is it going to be in the paper the next day? Lee and Austin lost the match, first round.
Never
No, the world's
happened.
still going to go on. Exactly. No one cares. And it's that perspective of like, at the end of the day, it's a plastic ball. Do your job. And and there's some days that if you can only get 50%, but you can get 100% of that 50%, that's a win.
Exactly.
But there are
Yeah.
some days you're playing an opponent and they might do things slightly better than you that day. And it's understanding that. And if you didn't do your job effectively, then it's figuring out how to go back and making sure you can do that job effectively and going to that drawing board and practicing and drilling and doing the things and going through your steps. And the minute you stop wanting to do that, it's time to stop playing because you've lost that drive or that competitive drive. So sometimes it's about competing rather. You still
Yeah.
play for fun, but the minute that I show up on the court and I don't care if I put in the work or not, there's a problem. That's the time. That's when I should stop competing because while you're still putting in the work, yes, the outcome is not always what you want. But that's what happens when you play an opponent. Someone's gonna lose. You hope it's not you, but you know,
Yeah. I love that attitude. So I look at you as one of the greatest ambassadors in the sport right now, but also such a huge mentor for, first of all, myself as a young and up and coming pro, but also I know you're mentoring a lot of other young professionals and amateur players. So what advice would you have for the next gen of pickleball pros who are looking to make waves in the game? What would be some wisdom that you would share with those people?
listen to those that came before you. Don't be afraid to ask the questions. Don't be afraid to say, "Hey, do you want to play in a tournament? Can you help? Can we drill?"
Yeah.
You know, those are the things that we've, for lack of a better word, we're on the tail. Like this is my last year playing pro, sadly.
Yeah.
And if those of you listening can do math, you know what I'm playing next year. Um, unless I can get a fake ID.
Oh, we could maybe arrange that.
Okay. But it's like look, we've been there, done that, and it's like I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself. I'm an open door. I'm always there to talk. I'm always there. You never be afraid to reach out to me playing a tournament. If I can, I will. If I'm not already partnered up, like the way tournaments work right now, it's like, I feel like I've been partnered since 1975. Um, you're like, hey, can you play in a tournament with me in 2025? Sure.
Sure.
I don't know. Like, why? I don't know. Can we ask for 2 weeks from now? Don't. But everyone partners for so long out. But no, it's like, don't never be afraid to come up to me and ask me questions and pick my brain. I always like. I love helping the next generation grow. I love being part of your process. I love to, I love to watch you play and be like, hey, like maybe you should work on this, and this, and if we did this, I noticed this. And it's coming from a place of like, I just want you to get better. I want to see people succeed. Maybe that's rare. I don't know, but I truly want to see people succeed. I want you to kick my butt on the court, right? because you should. I am more than twice your age. You should kick my butt. And you need to. And you need to hand it to me. And if you can't, we need to make you better so that you can.
I
And
love that.
that's my mentality as I'm looking through the lens of the younger generation now, right? It's like
Yeah,
if you're 19, 20 years old, you're not kicking my butt. How can we get it so that you can? If
yeah.
you have the talent. If you don't have the talent, that's one thing. But if you have the talent, let's work on that. And I would love to be a part of that process.
That's
I
such
may
a
not like the
yeah.
end result. I mean the end result may sting, but then I did my job. And
Yes.
then I will beg you to play with me so that you don't have to kick my butt.
There you go. If you can't beat them, join them, right?
Right? I'll just bribe you with acai bowls.
Well, that'll work easily for me, as you know, that is one of my weaknesses or strengths, depending on how you look at it. I am the one and only acai master, as Lee likes to say.
Absolutely.
I love it. It's such a genuine and philanthropic outlook, Lee. Also, just looking to the future for yourself personally, what are some of your goals for 2023 in pickleball and life in general? What are some of your main
World
goals?
peace.
I love that. Yeah, me too. Me too. We have world peace,
You know,
kumbaya. Come on.
what are my goals? My goals are like I love competing, don't get me wrong. I really love to compete, but you know why I love to compete? Because of the fans. And I love that I can bring the fans along on every journey that I'm on. So for 2023, I want to make more people smile. I want to make more people love the game of pickleball. And if
Mm,
that ends up with some gold medals or podiums along the way, great. But for me,
yes.
it's creating those memories. It's making a difference in people's lives. It's very basic, really. I just want to make people laugh. I want to make people smile, and I want to make people fall in love with pickleball.
And you do all of those things and then some. That is an awesome way to phrase it. Okay, Lee, let me finish up here asking you a couple rapid fire questions. All right. So I'm just gonna
Okay.
ask you a quick question. You can elaborate a little bit or one word answer, whatever you want to do. All right. Number one is what's your go-to dance move?
My go-to what?
Dance move.
Oh, salsa.
Salsa. Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know. All right. How about your dream vacation? Where would you go? Oh, got
Quiet
her
Island.
stumped.
No,
Uh,
quiet.
uh,
I was like, I was gonna think, can I think of a dream vacation? Just a quiet island somewhere,
okay,
just to
quiet island.
decompress. Or
Nice.
you know what? I lie. It's anywhere with my family,
I
honestly.
love that. Yes, with the fam. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, and besides pickleball, what are a couple of your other favorite hobbies?
Giving you a hard time definitely is up there on my list.
Yes, me
Um,
too.
and short walks to the fridge.
Short walks to the fridge. Love that. All right, and last one here. Three words to describe yourself.
Self-deprecating, is that one or two words? It's hyphenated.
I don't count it as one.
I'm just giving myself time to come up with two others.
I know, I know. Take your time.
I would say self-deprecating, authentic,
Yes.
and caring.
Aw. Well, thank you so much, Lee, for sharing your beautiful, authentic self with our audience. And till next time, signing out here.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.